Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at wcbe.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
Yes, it is.
Interesting documentary on right now on Prime, Amazon Prime.
Right. Comes with your Prime subscription.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a great streaming service.
Wow.
So much good stuff on there.
Yeah.
This documentary, Val.
It's wonderful.
You like it?
I loved it. You gave me the tip. Well, there were several people that gave me a tip. I knew right away.
Yeah. So Val Kilmer, long, storied career in sort of modern Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Starting in the early 80s and running through just until about a few years ago when throat cancer stopped him in his tracks.
Boy. And one of the things I love about this is that he's consistently upbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to put his finger in the hole to speak.
Yeah, right.
And I just think throughout there's an element of joy in his life. As crazy as it is.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this movie, like when I'd heard about, here's a documentary about Val Kilmer's career and blah, 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 I was shocked to find how much video footage this guy had of himself.
He's got thousands of hours.
Yeah, he has been recording video since the advent of the home video camera.
Yes, yeah.
And him and his brother, I think it was his younger or older brother.
His younger brother, Wesley or whatever.
Wesley, yeah. They made all these films
Yes.
together as kids. There's a tragedy that you learn about in the film. But they have been shooting this video forever. Even when he went to acting school, he's bringing this video camera. He's on the set of Top Gun, he's got this video camera. The guy has documented his life. I mean, this movie wouldn't exist without him, because that's what turns it into less of a career retrospective and more of a sort of exploration.
Well, and it fits what parameters you and I had set a while ago, just a week or two ago, about documentaries and the authenticity, the truth, and actually having the human being there about whom this whole documentary is fantastic. Mm-hmm. Having an entertainer, and listen, here's a guy who was the youngest to go into Juilliard in the acting school.
Wow.
So I mean, and he played Hamlet. I mean, his aspirations were pretty high.
Yeah. I am surprised, though, given his attachment to the camera and his early experiences with his brother making these little films, that he never became a director. Near the end of the movie, you start to get this idea that he's working on a screenplay about Mark Twain, and he wants to tell this great cinematic American story, but, that's cut short, obviously. But I'm just surprised that he didn't go into directing.
I know, that's a great point. Here's my thought on it.
Yeah.
If you look at the segment with John Frankenheimer and how he confronts Frankenheimer about the fact that Frankenheimer said he might leave directing this, and as he probes there, I got an idea of what makes Val Kilmer difficult to work with and a perfectionist. Okay. I suspect he knows that as a director he would bomb. He would be so on top of everybody to do everything perfectly. So I think it's a good question.
Well, the other thing, I want to talk specifically about that movie.
About Dr. Moreau?
Yeah. No. Well, because it was hard for me to buy into this whole notion of Val Kilmer as the artistic saint.
Yes, I know.
I have been reading about Val Kilmer for years, the stories about him. He oftentimes was an insufferable ass on these movies. That film in particular ruined that original director's career. Stanley, I forget what his name is now. He most recently directed Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, which is a pretty good movie.
Okay.
Him and Brando misbehaved so flagrantly on the set of that movie, hamstrung this young director's ability to make this expensive movie. They got him fired and subsequently destroyed this guy's career for a good 25, 30 years. For him to position himself as this perfectionist, I thought was disingenuous at best.
Okay, and I think that's fair. You can't certainly tell enough, but Frankenheimer was so disturbed he said he would quit. If he ever had to work, he would never work with Brando or Kilmer again.
Yeah.
And here's a seasoned.
Well, I mean, that's all.
director.
Yeah, that's all you got to know is John Frankenheimer
I know.
couldn't put up with these guys,
I know,
right?
I know,
Because
I
this
know.
guy was a tried and true filmmaker to the bone,
Oh,
right?
I know, I know.
Industry solid guy, and he's like, listen, put the camera down. He's trying to get him to behave, and he's hiding behind this, whatever. It made it a little difficult for me to swallow that he's just such a
Well, yeah,
sweetheart.
because there certainly is no final decision about him in the community, because half of them believe he's just simply distraught, overwrought,
Yeah.
whatever, and the others think that he may be a genius of some sort. And I think he's gifted, and I think that he realizes the limitations of even filmmaking.
Yeah, I know. I guess I walked away from it. I think what is left there is still a fascinating documentary if you can put this lens over it.
Yes,
right?
right, yeah.
And this guy was a privileged, spoiled brat. He grew up rich, and he had all this access to not only. I mean, look at where they were shooting these little movies him and his brother were making. They looked like they were on the set of a western, like a Hollywood western.
Yeah.
So I think I hate to reduce it to this, but this cancer sort of humbled him.
Yeah, I think so. Or to me, it gave him a chance to exercise even more ability. That is to overcome it immediately and to continue on with his life, still attached to these videos.
Yeah.
Again, we're still seeing a very bright guy adjusting himself to a reality. And while he said he was depressed for a while, as anybody would be with that cancer, on this documentary, he does not express a bitterness about it, rather just a willingness to deal with it and do it. And I mean, I love him signing all that stuff at Comic-Con and so on. This is, so much of that is boilerplate stuff. You have an aging star who signs this, but he really seems to like the people. He seems to like doing that.
Do you really think? I didn't get that impression. I felt like that was a burden to him. That even when I saw him, and I've been to these things, I've seen these people.
I know. Well, you've actually probably been on stage, I think, as I remember. Something, yeah.
But I've been there, and I see how they, you can tell when there are performers there who are thrilled to be there, right? Who offer up a smile to every fan that comes up in it. I just feel like Val Kilmer, there's a part of him that thinks that's beneath him. And he even does say something about it.
He does philosophize a bit.
He doesn't want to be one of those guys who
he
looks
says,
back.
look at it. And he says he doesn't want to disparage those people who go around the world doing this stuff.
But I did get the impression that it was hard for him to be warm and welcoming to
and I'm with you,
the
except
hoi polloi.
at the moment when he signs somebody's or takes the guy's hat off his head and signs inside the hat. I got a feeling that he's moved by the people individually.
Right.
The idea the idea of selling himself after his career was hard for him.
Yeah, for sure.
And you do have some really nice interaction with his family. I mean, he had a difficult time with his wife, Joanne Whaley, I think was it.
Yeah, well, you don't get a whole lot of that. You don't get a lot of, because he is totally in control of this this thing.
Yes.
Notice you don't get a whole lot of interviews of other people saying what they felt about Val Kilmer, right? You only get very sort of hand-picked, cherry-picked reactions to his wondrousness.
And you are so right. And we've talked about this, the fact that there's no real truth. It is all what he wants it. He wants it to be.
Yeah.
And after all, the title is Val. It is all about him.
I'll tell you, the one thing this movie did was made me want to go back and read Mark Twain.
Oh yes, and I can't believe with Hal Holbrook's success that he even tried that, and he did successfully.
Right.
Amazing to me. He's got one coming out. Mark Twain and Mary Baker Eddy.
What is that?
Huh?
What is this?
This is the film that's coming out, the most recent one that will be coming out.
Oh, it is a film. That has nothing to do with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he's going to be in it.
Oh, he is?
And I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing that in his current situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
And is he in the new Top Gun Maverick?
He is. I believe he has a cameo role in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Maverick gets word that Iceman is in trouble, and I mean, I don't know how else they
Yeah,
would do
right.
it really.
Or they may take clips because he says there's not an airport he can go into
Yeah,
where they won't say, "Hey, Iceman."
right.
That's pretty cool though.
It is cool.
I mean,
that's the other thing is looking back at his career, how many, the guy was on a roll there for a while.
in the '90s he was.
Yeah, in the late '80s and the
Blistering
'90s, Top Secret, Top Gun, Willow. I forgot that he was in Willow.
Yeah, Willow, not a great movie.
The Doors.
Jim Morrison
Yeah.
probably cemented his career, wouldn't you think? I mean, Iceman brought him into prominence, but I thought that Jim Morrison was what everybody thinks.
Yeah. The one thing that was funny is, getting back to his Control, after he kind of glancingly deals with this idea about him being difficult, he inserts a short montage in there of people that he worked with saying that he wasn't difficult. Like
Yeah, I know he
Robert
does.
Downey Jr. and stuff. Of course, they're all on press tour, on press junkets
Yes.
saying this. You know what I mean? It's not like, hey, let's sit down and talk about it. So the guy is a control freak. So you can see how maybe the people in his life needed to get some distance.
So that's it for Val.
Yeah.